Hi, welcome to Informatica support videos. My name is Wilson. Today we will look at how to dispatch jobs based on resource requirement. The agenda of the session is three parts. One, we will look at how to enable integration service to dispatch job based on resources. Second, look at how to set resources for each node, like enabling or disabling predefined resources, and also how to create custom resources. Third, we look at how to assign resources to a session. First, we will look at the integration service, how we can enable it to consider resources while dispatching jobs. For this, log into the admin console, select the integration service. Under the advanced properties, you would see an option called ignore resource requirement. By default, this is set to yes, which means the integration service is not going to consider resources while dispatching the job. So we have to edit the advanced properties and disable this ignore resource requirement property. So once we do this, the integration service will consider the resources that are needed for each and every session while dispatching the job. So this would require a recycle of the integration service. So we'll do the recycle of the integration service. Second, we will look at what are the resources available at a node level and how we can enable or disable them. And also, we'll look at how to create custom resources. And the third part, we look at how we can assign these custom or predefined resources to a session. Let's take a look into the default or predefined resources available to node level. For this, select the node available on your domain and go to the resources tab. Under the resources tab, you would see all the resources that are by default enabled or available on the node. So here the resources are named as connections. So these are default connections available at a session level. You could also see that we term it as connections, but Java transformation is again a licensed option. So we see that Java transformation is also a connection listed here. Similarly, Union transformation, midstream XML, JMS plugins, all those these are the predefined resources that are available on each of every node. You can choose to enable or disable resources. For example, let's say if I don't have an Informix client installed on this node, I can choose to disable it. So that if any session that has an Informix connection, it's not going to run on this node. So these are predefined things that are available so that based on the mapping that you created, if any of these resources or connections are used within that particular mapping or session, the integration service is not going to, or it will look at the resource availability on each node, and according to that, it will dispatch it. Secondly, we can choose or create custom resources. The resource type, there are two types, custom resources and also file directory resources. So like you can choose file or directory saying this particular mount point is available only on a specific node. You can assign that. So let's choose a custom resource. I'm just giving a name called GCS jar. Let's say for an example, I have a Java transformation and it needs specific jar files. And those jar files are not available across all the nodes. So I specifically create a resource called GCS jar and assign to a node where this is available. So I'm choosing that on node 1, this particular GCS jar custom resource is created and it is available on this node. Now we look at how we can assign these custom resources to a session level. For this, we have to log into the workflow manager and let's edit the session. Under the general properties, we have a resource option. Edit the resource option and you can choose what kind of resource this particular session needs. So these are apart from the mapping or connection predefined resources. For example, if you have an Oracle source, by default the session knows that it needs an Oracle connection, so it will be picked up automatically. But apart from that, there is a Java transformation. I need this particular jar files. So here I am saying that this particular session needs these GCS jars, so that I'm associating that to this particular session. So once you do this and say this session, the session is going to, while we start this job, the integration service is going to look out for this particular kind of resource, the custom resource that is associated with this session, and then dispatch it. So based on our settings here, the resource is only available on node 1, and node 2 doesn't have this custom resources. So the job is going to be dispatched only to node 1 and not to node 2. Similar to that, we can use this option to create your own custom resources, or you can also choose to create some specific nodes. You can say this particular job needs to run only on this particular node. If you already know that the node on which it needs to run, you can specify this. Or in a heterogeneous environment, for example, let's say you have a Windows AX or Solaris environment. So certain jobs you want to run only on AX machine, and certain jobs you want to run only on Solaris machine. In those cases, depending on the nodes that you have created, you would also see all those kind of OS types here. So you can choose those any kind of OS which you needed for this session run, and then enable them. So it will be added as multiple resources. You can choose multiple resources for this session, and the integration service is going to look out for all these resources, and depending on its availability, it's going to dispatch the job on that node. Thank you for listening into this. Hope you know how you can control the resources and control your dispatch using resources. We value your feedback. Please write to us at supportvideos@informatica.com. Also, you can tweet to us at twitter.com/infasupport. Thank you all for listening.